Think about almost everything you own, your phone, your car, even the coffee you're drinking. Chances are it got to you on a ship. But what if I told you that this gigantic global system has a hidden digital weak spot, one that could bring pretty much everything to a grinding halt? So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the growing cyber threat to our high seas.
All right, so here's our game plan. First up, we're going to get a feel for just how unbelievably massive this whole shipping industry really is. Then we'll get into what's called the smart port paradox. Basically, how trying to be more efficient can actually open you up to attack. From there, we'll dive into the cyber threats themselves, look at how we can defend against them, and wrap up with why, at the end of the day, teamwork is the only thing that's going to work.
To really get why this is such a big deal, we have to start with the sheer scale of it all. We're talking about a global superhighway of goods, and I'm not exaggerating when I say it is the literal backbone of the world's economy. Just look at this number for a second. 90%. Yeah, that's the slice of all world trade that sails through our commercial ports. It's just a wild figure that shows you how incredibly interconnected we all are, and how much we depend on this network running smoothly. So what does that 90% actually look like? Well, it's 9 billion tons of goods every single year. From the raw materials that build our cities to the gadgets in our pockets, almost everything we touch has been on a ship. The scale is just hard to wrap your head around.
So how in the world do you manage that kind of volume? Well, you get smarter, right? Ports all over the globe have been upgrading with all sorts of tech to get more efficient. But that's created this strange paradox. The very technology that's supposed to make everything better has also cracked open the door to some really dangerous new threats.
So what are we even talking about when we say smart port? Well, think of huge hubs like Rotterdam or Hamburg. They're using all this advanced tech, the Internet of Things with all those little connected sensors and gadgets, plus automated cranes and vehicles to move all that cargo way faster than humans ever could. It really is a technological marvel.
And here's the trade-off, laid out plain and simple. We used to have these older manual ports. They were kind of slow and isolated, but their security was physical, fences and guards. Now we have these automated, super connected smart ports. And look, that connection is amazing for efficiency, but it's also like leaving the digital front door wide open for attackers.
And honestly, this quote from the European Union Agency for Cybersecurity, or ESA, it just nails it. The more we automate, the more we connect everything, the more opportunities we create for a cyber attack. At the end of the day, what you need to remember is this: efficiency and vulnerability have basically become two sides of the same coin. Okay, so this isn't some what-if scenario we're talking about. This is happening right now, and it's escalating fast. So we need to figure out who's behind these attacks, why they're doing it, and of course, how they're managing to get in. Just get a load of this. The number of cyber incidents hitting ports has quadrupled recently. This isn't just a slow trickle, it's a tidal wave. And we're not talking about small glitches here. A single successful attack can paralyze a port, causing a traffic jam of ships for miles, and that's the kind of chaos that you and I feel weeks later when the store shelves are empty. So why do it? Well, the reasons usually fall into one of three buckets. A huge chunk of it is just about cold, hard cash. We're talking about ransomware, where hackers lock up a port's entire system and demand a massive payday. But it's also more sinister. You have governments spying on critical shipments for an advantage. And sometimes it's just about causing chaos, pure sabotage. And how are they breaking in? Well, they're exploiting these weak spots. The number of digital windows and doors they can try to break into has just exploded. We've given more people remote access to everything, from office computers to the actual machinery that moves the containers. We're relying on thousands of these little IoT devices, and for a long time, the focus was always on speed, not security. It's basically a perfect storm for an attacker. Okay, so we've laid out the problem. It's big, it's scary, and it's getting worse. But the good news is people are fighting back. So let's shift gears and talk about the game plan, because there is a structured way to build up our defenses.
And a major player leading the charge here is ENISA. They're not just sounding the alarm, they're actually handing out the blueprints for building a solid defense, giving ports a clear path to get their security up to speed.
And this is it. It's a really clear 4-step plan. Let's walk through it. Step 1, identify. You gotta know what's important before you can protect it, right? So figure out your most critical systems. Step 2, analyze. This is where you play detective and find all your weak spots. Step 3, implement. This is where you actually plug those security holes. And step 4, assess. You have to constantly check if your defenses are working, because the bad guys are always coming up with new tricks.
So what does that look like in the real world? Well, here are some of the key tools. You've got things like network segmentation, which is like putting up digital firewalls inside your system. So if an attacker gets in one place, they can't get to everything else. Simple stuff like antivirus, of course. Multi-factor authentication is a must. And this is a huge one, training your people. Because so often the first attack isn't a complex hack. It's just a tricky email. But here's the thing. All the best tools and plans in the world for one port, well, it's just not going to cut it. The final piece of the puzzle, and maybe the most important, is teamwork. Because in a system this connected, no port is an island. And this right here is really the core of it. An attack on a port in Asia can cause problems for a port in Europe a week later. The only way this works is if everyone bands together, sharing information about new threats and helping each other out. A united front is the only way to protect the whole system. So what does that teamwork actually look like? Well, we're seeing these cool partnerships pop up between governments and private companies, like this Maritime Computer Emergency Response Team, or MCERT. Think of them as like a neighborhood watch for the entire shipping industry. Their whole job is to spot new threats, warn everybody, and help coordinate the response when something bad does happen. And all of this really boils down to one big question, doesn't it? Our push for speed and efficiency is what created these amazing smart ports, but it's the very same thing that made them so vulnerable. In a world that runs on being connected, figuring out how to be both fast and safe, well, that's not just a puzzle for the shipping industry. It's the challenge for our entire global economy.